All right, guys. So, welcome to the first installment in a Pro Tools series that I want to do here. I get a ton of questions about it. People have such a poor understanding of Pro Tools, and I mean, I was lucky enough to go to school for it, so I mean, I know it very well. And so I figured we could try to break it down step by step. I have no idea how many videos this is going to end up being. I mean, it could be, I could make 50 videos out of this, and we probably still wouldn't have covered everything. So I figured we'll just dive into it and learn as much as we can, and we'll see if there's a demand for, really in-depth stuff. But truth is, most of those features I don't even use. I mean, I more record vocals, do a lot of mixing, and I mean, there's a lot of features that I use, but there's a lot that, I mean, it gives you a lot of capabilities, but, I don't find most of those things work with my workflow. So anyways, I'm rambling. All right, so let's get started here. I figure in lesson one, we need to definitely get some basic terminology down. I mean, it's kind of tough for me because I've been doing this for a long time now, and I'm so good with it that, I just go throwing around different words and clips and plugins and buses and transport and the counter and all that stuff, and maybe you don't know what I'm talking about. So let's just start with some tracks. So as we see here, this is your basic edit window, and there's also the mix window. And to switch between those, you do like Command equals on your keyboard there. So usually I stay here if I'm doing any kind of recording or editing, which is, most of the process. So for instance, we have a mono track. I just kind of loaded, like one of each just to go through there and show the differences. So I would say a mono audio track is pretty much the most common. And as you can see in the mix window here, there's only, one pan knob because there's only like one channel of audio versus a stereo audio track here. So with the mono audio track, I mean, you could have, a kick drum, a vocal take, a whole bunch of different things. Most of my tracks are definitely mono audio tracks. So for instance, I'm using a Sapphire Pro 40, and I'm running audio into that right now. So if I set my input, which we'll get into the inputs and outputs and all this stuff, just bear with me for right now, but I have this set up to input 1 right now, which is, I have my microphone plugged into input 1, and so this might sound funny temporarily because we're actually like double auditioning the vocals here, but so if I have this set up here, I can, either arm this track or input enable it so that I can hear myself. So there we go. And I could go into my Sapphire mix control, which, pretty much every interface has something like this, and mute that. So now we're just listening through Pro Tools. And it may sound a little bit funny, a little bit clicky. I find that happens if I have a too short of a buffer, which let's not jump ahead. We'll get to all that stuff eventually. There we go. See, I just changed it, and now it's super echoey and delayed from when I'm hearing it to when you're probably hearing it. So that makes me very uncomfortable. Let's go back to that. So that's under your setup, your playback engine. And let's do, yes. Check. There we go. Still a little clicky and poppy. But either way, so this is usually how I record something like this. Terrible. I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, switching back and forth usually isn't a good idea. So let's go here. Let's do something. Let's say I wanted to record a vocal take real quick. It'll probably put all these pops and everything into it, but so let's go here. Let's yo, check 1 2 1 2. I don't think I'm clipping, but it sure does look like a big waveform there. All right, we'll get out of this. Let me go back and enable my mic here. There we go. That should sound better. Okay, so if we listen back to this, it probably does have all those clicks and pops in it, I would guess. Yo, check 1 2 1 2. I don't think I'm clipping, but it sure does look like a big waveform there. All right, we'll get out of this. Okay, that's not what I was planning on by any means. Maybe give that a few minutes, that might get better, but okay, anyways. So, you could record a basic audio track into there. In a situation like this where it's clicking and popping and shit, I would probably just relaunch the session and do it again, but for the sakes of this tutorial, we're just going to keep on moving through here. So then we have our stereo audio track, and there are stereo microphones out there, but it's pretty rare. You usually wouldn't record into something like this. What you might do is drop a stereo like file onto this for mixing purposes or something, right? So let's say that I had an audio file from, I don't know, let's say like iTunes or whatever. So let's say I had a song here, which this might not even work, but let's say I was going to drop this into here like this. And I should probably mute it because I don't think I have permission to play Adrian's stuff on the internet. So check, but 1 2 1 2. I'll mute that as well. But let's add a little sample. Fuck it. Okay, so there you got your stereo audio track there. And then this is an auxiliary track. This is probably like the second most common type of track after mono audio tracks. They serve a lot of different purposes. Usually, I route my mono audio tracks to an auxiliary. So for instance, let's say I had like 8 mono audio tracks for like a kick drum, a snare, tom 1, tom 2, floor tom, whatever. And I would set all those outputs to a bus, which we'll get to that soon too. And then I'll route those to an auxiliary track. That way I can either solo the whole group or mute the whole group at once. So let's say I want to hear everything except the drums, and I'll just hit that, and everything else would play, and just the drums would be muted. All this is hypothetical, of course, because I don't actually have drum tracks here, but either way, that's just kind of my workflow with that. And you notice there's no record function on these types of tracks, so you can't record an aux track, but you could route out of an aux track to a stereo audio track or mono audio track, depending, and record onto that. So there are different ways to do it. But anyways, moving on. So then we also have instrument tracks. So, I don't use these a ton. I have changed my workflow a lot over the years, but you can, use different instruments that are built in as plugins. So I guess we should talk about plugins a little bit as well. So, within plugins, there could be, instruments like so. So this is like a mini grand piano. This is something that comes standard with Pro Tools. You should have it in your version. And there's a bunch of different stuff. There could be EQ plugins. So actually, that's something I wanted to show too. So let's go back to this track here. Okay, so now we're hearing a double, right? Because we're still hearing me through the Sapphire. But check. Yeah, it's all poppy and stuff. That does happen in Pro Tools sometimes. Honestly, relaunching the session fixes that most of the time. That's a dirty little secret about Pro Tools. Or, other DAWs, I'm sure it happens too. It's just that I'm a Pro Tools guy, so I notice it and hear the most. But so with an EQ plugin, for instance, so to launch that, I pretty much just, you click on any one of these boxes here, plug in, EQ, bam. So that's the one I have right here. So then within this, you can go through and make different adjustments and change your sound, give it some bass, whatever, brighten it up, give it some more high end, which doesn't sound so pleasant when it's all crackling and whatnot. So let's get out of that. There we go. Which actually, let's go back and make it interesting. You could also add something like a distortion plugin or something, just give it some effect. It's kind of cool. I actually use a lot of distortion on my vocals when I do mixing, which we'll get to that. I know I keep saying that, but there's just so much to get into. If we just, branch off on every single thing that we mention here, we'll never get anything done. So anyways, now back to the instrument track. So for instance, I have the mini grand here, and I have a MIDI keyboard hooked up, and I'm playing it right now. You can't hear anything because I haven't armed this track. So if I click that, right, and that is a mono track. So if you notice, everything is in the center of your head, in the center of your headphones, whatever, if you're listening with that. So the bass and the high end, it's all right in the middle, which is okay, sounds fine. But this is a stereo instrument track with the same plugin, but this is going to give it a much better and much more natural sound. Which this is also quieter, so to make it even, I could push that up. Okay, so pretty cool. And then after that, you have MIDI tracks. So I could actually record some basic MIDI information into this. I don't usually do this. I used to use MIDI tracks when I used to try to make my beats within, Pro Tools, like my instruments, for instance. You can record the MIDI information right here. So let's, I think this is all muted. Let's go ahead and record something to show you. So this is recording. I can play some notes, and it'll record exactly what I played and exactly what time. Then you can go through there and, do different functions and quantize it and snap it to the grid, all these different things. And then you could take that information and route it into like an instrument track or something to get it to play, some instrument for you. So what I would do is, record something like that I played, and made human mistakes to it and it didn't sound perfect. Then I would edit it and quantize it and all that, then use it to trigger an instrument and make it sound like I played it perfect, so that's a cool idea too. There are also VCA fader tracks, which I think this is actually new to Pro Tools. I believe this used to be a Pro Tools HD only, but now it's in the regular Pro Tools as well. So for this is used to control a group, like its overall volume or whatever. So for instance, let's say I took these tracks here, my audio tracks, and these could be like, kick drums or whatever, or just regular drum tracks, You do a command to create a group, which is Command G. We'll get to key commands as well. And we'll say this is drums, right? So then you can set this to control the drums. And then, this will probably sound terrible together, but... So I can control the volume with that, right? Pretty cool. I don't ever use them, really. I typically just end up routing the outputs, as I mentioned, to an auxiliary track, and I'll name that one drums, and then I'll use that to adjust the volume without affecting these actual faders. There's a lot of reasons for that too, and that's more mixing theory stuff, so we'll save that for now. And then basically you have your master faders as well, and so for this you can use this to control the overall volume of everything, right? So with what we just had, I can control that with the VCA fader and then boost the overall volume of everything, even the stuff that's not in that group. So for instance, if I go back to this, quite beautiful, yeah. So that's the basics. So some of the other things you definitely need to know, as I mentioned, the inputs and outputs. So inputs are on top, outputs are on the bottom. It's kind of signal flow. I always just think about it like if this was a traditional analog, console in a studio, the signal is just running right down through here, So basically your fader, or actually I think your mute, will be the last thing in the signal chain. So, you have your inserts and stuff too, but you know, not every track you need to even set an input for. Like, you know, if I dropped an audio track on, you know, or an audio file onto the stereo audio track, then I didn't really need to worry about the input. It usually defaults the output to, you know, your built-in output 1 and 2, whatever, which is also being controlled by the master fader. I don't use a master fader either, actually. You don't need to have one. I don't really use the VCA faders, as I mentioned. Yep, get rid of that. I don't use that. I don't really use that either. Let's get rid of all these. So, okay. This is my bread and butter right here, for sure. These are the types of tracks I use the most. So, as I had mentioned before, if we were going to route these 2 tracks to this auxiliary track, then you can go up here. It doesn't have an input right now, so nothing's even going to this track. You know, if I'm playing these tracks, whatever. Let me undo that group too. So with stuff routed to this, to get it there, you have to do it via a bus. You may have heard of buses before. It took me a long time to even understand what a bus was, but I think the best way to explain it is it's just kind of like a cable. Okay, so if you're going to route things to something, you got to do it with a cable, you know, in the analog realm. So basically this is your cable. You know, I have some standard ones that I use for a lot of different things, so they just kind of default there, you know, my drums, whatever. But let's say we're going to make a new one. So you just select that. You can even right click on it, rename it. And let's say this was tutorial, whatever. So then from here, and you do like shift click to select more than one, right? So I could have these and a key command here, which, you know, let's just skip that. I don't want to get into that right now. Basically, you go here to the output, set that to tutorial, set this output to tutorial, and you could do that in a single click with a key command, but we'll save that for now. So with this, you should hear everything playing, and this will control the overall volume of it, and I should be able to mute it or solo it. And if you solo it, you won't actually hear anything. I'll show you that. So if I solo it, now you can't hear anything because these aren't soloed. I wonder if the universe... So what you typically do is you solo safe a track like this. So you do command click, right? So now it's like grayed out. So now this track is always soloed. So if I solo either of these tracks, I'll still be able to hear it, and it'll go through this because this is solo safe, right? So okay, something like that. So let's go back to the plugins a little bit, because I think that's something people have a pretty poor understanding of with the equalizers, compressors in particular. I find that even people that consider themselves audio people have no idea what a compressor does or why or when they should use it. That's definitely a subject for another video, but we could at least touch on it now. So let's play this track again here. Actually, you know what? Let's go back to my vocal track, which should be all popping and sounding like crap, but for the purposes of this, should do okay. Okay. 2. Yo, 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 check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yo, 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 check. All right, 1, so 2, we can EQ it. Yo, 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 check. 1, 2, 1, 2. 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 Yo, 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 check. Then a compressor. Yo, 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 check. 1, 2, 1, 2. So that'd be under dynamics, obviously. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yo, 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 check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yo, yo, yo. So this is like the gain reduction here. Yo, 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 check. You can adjust this with the threshold and all this. We'll get into that in the future, but yep, this is pretty standard. It definitely happens. You overload your buffer size. So as I mentioned, we can go back here and we can set that. It usually doesn't happen if you set it like really high.
Yo yo yo,
So,
check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo, 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 check 1 2 1 2.
so we could really compress the crap out of this if we want to, right? You usually don't ever want to do something like this, but just to show you what it does. So you can always bypass the plugin by clicking the bypass button, obviously. So
yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2.
okay, never mind, still happened. I think it's also overloading because I'm using a lot of resources for like screen capture and stuff right now too. So, all right, and then like delay plugins.
Yo
you
yo
could
yo,
have
check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo, 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 check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo,
it is delaying it, but
1 2 1.
you're not hearing the original version.
Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo.
And actually, you know what I'd like to do? Let's create a stereo aux track. All right, let's get rid of this one. I don't have much use for that at all, actually. Okay, so then we'll set this output to tutorial, as we had talked about before, which is not there, of course. This is my life. This is perfect. Maybe because that's a mono one. Okay, we'll set it to 19 and 20. And we'll set this to 19 and 20. There we go. Okay, so we should solo safe that.
Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2.
Okay, so this is a cool effect. I do this on vocals all the time to make it stereo because this is a mono track, right? You're hearing it right up the center.
Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo, check 1 2.
But to make it sound really stereo, what I'll do is I'll set this at like, actually let's go ahead and lock these together. Yeah, so you hit the link button so that everything you do on one side matches the other. Set it to like 30 milliseconds. Then I will unlink them. And I'll put one to dry, because otherwise it's going to sound the same, because they're both delayed equally in each ear, so it'll sound like it's still up the middle.
Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo,
right.
Check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1.
That's like one of my favorite effects to do for vocals. I mean, you definitely do it for all kinds of instruments and stuff too, but either way, that's pretty cool. Reverb, I'm sure you're somewhat familiar with that, so let's bypass that.
Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo.
Right, so there's Deverb is a standard one that's built in with Pro Tools, and this is automatically set to 100% wet, but you could put it anywhere in between.
Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2. Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2.
Something like that. And then there's also Audio Suite plugins and effects, right? So let's say I highlighted this here, that same part we've been listening to.
Yo yo yo, check.
Okay, and let's say we go to Audio Suite. This renders like a new audio file, so it's not just like a plugin you can bypass anymore. So let's do a lo-fi effect on this, and you can preview it. Yo yo yo, check 1 2 1 2. 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 So let's say that you like that for some crazy reason. You could render that. I think that did it. Yeah, there we go. See, so it actually created a whole new audio file here. See, and by the way, these are called clips. So here's a clip, there's a clip, there's a clip. And this are actually the same thing. So you could actually go here and drag that right back, and now it's like one file again. But this creates a new clip where you just affected it. So, for instance.
Yo, 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 check 1 2 1 2. I don't think I'm clipping, but it sure does look like a big waveform there.
Right. So that's pretty cool. I don't use Audio Suite stuff a lot. It just depends on the situation. Sometimes that's a thing to do. And by doing that, it does change the original audio file, right? So you can't just bypass it. You can undo it if, like, you just did it and don't like it. You can go back, which is what I just did here. But you can potentially end up losing your original file if you did that to this whole thing. Then you could have trouble there. So use that sparingly for sure. All right, we talked about the buses a little bit, the edit window, the mix window. Yep, got our input monitoring, record enable, solo, mute. So the transport. So to bring that up, there's your transport, right? So that'll be, the key command for that is command and then number pad 1, right? And I don't have a number pad, so I have a hack to get around that, but that's how you bring this up, and you can use this for starting, stopping, recording, changing your different record modes, all that stuff. It's got some cool things. You can set up your metronome here, which there's also key commands for that, so you can do it hands-free. Definitely good to know. Definitely learn your way around that. I don't really go there a whole lot for my workflow again, and I know the key commands well enough that, I don't really need to go to it often unless I'm doing something with tempo mapping or something and have to change modes there or something, but for the most part it's fine how it is. To check out your session window, that is the same thing except it'll be command number pad 2. So you can launch that here. That'll show you I'm doing this in 44.1, 24-bit, stereo interleaved. There's different opinions about that. Almost everybody would agree that you want to have it in interleaved. Otherwise, you're going to have 2 audio files to keep up with for everything, and it's a big pain. So I just keep it interleaved for sure. And then up here you have your zoom controls, and these are very useful. There's also key commands for this stuff, so that's why key commands are the way to go. I mean, when you get those down, you can do so many things without having to mess with this. Like I'm probably pretty clumsy even using this. It's like you could zoom in on the waveform like so, but then there's also key commands to do that as well. There we go. See, I can do it without even clicking that. But good to know at the beginning for sure. You have your different zoom modes, like how far zoomed in it is. Let me see. Yes, this is like pretty zoomed in for sure. All right. Then here we have our toolbar, and so these are your different tools. This is going to be super important to know and something you're going to have to know to get started. So this here is your selector tool. I was going to call it the edit tool actually, but I guess that's not correct. Yeah, selector tool. So when you have this, you can highlight things just by clicking and dragging. Once you have your different key commands and stuff, you can do all kinds of stuff with that. Then there's the grabber tool, and you'll use this to, well, as you can imagine, grab things, move it around, whatever, because with this, if you try to do that, you're just highlighting stuff. Like you can't actually move the track around or do anything. And then your trim tool over here, this is how you expand and shorten things, whatever. And there's also some modifications of that. We'll get into that stuff in the future. Excuse me. And but the really cool thing, and the thing that I think puts Pro Tools above the other workstations, is that you have the Smart tool, which is all of these combined, right? So it just automatically switches depending on where you have your cursor. So like if you're on the top half of a track, it's automatically the selector tool, and then at the bottom it's grabber, and then if you go to the right place, then it turns into the trim tool, right? So you could highlight stuff like this. Let's see, I need to highlight this little part here. And then I'm like, oh, you know what? I need to just move this whole thing over a little bit. Or I need to trim this down, whatever. Very cool. I'm a big fan of it, and anytime I've used a different workstation, I always kind of miss the Smart Tool. It's really cool, nice feature. Hell, I don't even know what this thing is. Something else I don't use. And then here's like your pencil tool. You can use that for automation and stuff. And there's all these different things. Yeah, I don't want to make it too complicated. We'll get to that stuff hopefully in the future. That's the basics. Here's something to know is your markers, right? So let's say that on this song here, let's go ahead and mute this one. Let's say that right here was where the verse started, right? So I believe that's enter on the number pad. So you could put like, verse 1, bam, and then you're listening, da-da-da, oh, there's the bridge, and you can actually do this on the fly. So as it's playing, let's say that right when it gets there, there's the bridge, bam, bridge. Let's say that this big part up here is the chorus. So let's just say, call that the hook 1, whatever. And that's a super, cool way to stay organized in your session, because you'd be bouncing around, super zoomed in on something, editing something, and then you need to wait, I thought that thing was in the first verse. Let's go back to that. And you can just hit play right there, whatever. Definitely play around with that. That'll speed up your workflow for sure. I think we talked about most of the stuff I wanted to get to in the first lesson. So back in the mix window here, I'd mentioned plugins, and so this section here is your inserts, right? Inserts A through E, F through J, and these are going to be on that same audio track. So from the original signal, starting up here, let's just say, and before it gets down here to where you hear it, basically, you can put these plugins in there to affect the sound, whether you're EQing it, compressing it, putting a delay, reverb, whatever. And then you have your other inserts as well. If you do ever end up using all those, I usually never use more than a few plugins on one thing. But then we also have sends over here. So let's set this output normal again. Okay, let's go back here.
Yo, 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 check, 1 2 1 2.
All right, so now we're not hearing it here anymore because I don't have it routed to that anymore.
Yo, 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 check,
but
1 2 1 2.
Let's say I wanted to go out here.
I don't think I'm clipping, but it sure does look like a big waveform there. Yo, 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 check,
so I could use a
1
send.
2 1 2. I don't think I'm clipping, but it sure does look like a big waveform there. Yo, yo,
that
yo,
bus
yo,
from before.
check, 1 2 1 2. I don't think I'm clipping, but it sure does look like a big waveform there. Yo, 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 check, 1 2 1 2.
You can adjust that here.
I don't think I'm clipping, but it sure does look like a big waveform there. Yo, 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 check.
See, and this is set post fader naturally, so you won't be able to hear it over here if this one's muted. But if you set it pre fader,
yo, 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 check.
Now you can hear it over here.
I don't think I'm clipping, but it sure does look like a big waveform there. Yo, yo, yo. 1 1 2.
Right, we can't hear it here.
I don't think I'm clipping, but it sure does look like
and
a
actually,
big
this is
waveform there.
this
Yo,
is
yo,
typically
yo,
how you
check.
do something
1
like
2
this
1
with like a
2.
reverb or delay. You would actually have this 100% wet, and then you have your dry over here, and you could blend them. So I would normally have this track named, reverb, whatever.
Yo, 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 check.
Now we can hear
1
both.
2 1 2.
So
I don't think I'm clipping, but it sure does look like a big
I have my dry one,
yo, yo, yo,
and I just
check.
want to send a
1
bit
2
of it
1 2.
over to the reverb.
I don't think I'm clipping, but it sure does look like a big waveform there. Yo, 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 check, 1 2 1 2.
Give it a little sense of space.
But it sure does look like a big waveform there. Yo, yo, yo,
or if you want
check,
to
1 2
make it
1
sound
2.
huge,
I don't think I'm clipping, but it sure does look like a big waveform.
you could do that
there.
too,
Yo, yo,
and watch
yo,
out for
check,
the clipping.
1 2 1 2. I don't think I'm clipping, but it sure does look like a big wave.
Yeah, it's a good way to work for sure. And then, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a lot of information to take in on the first lesson. Sorry if that was kind of sloppy. This is the first one I've done like this, so I'm definitely gonna work on making these a little bit more organized in the future and stuff. But definitely stay tuned. Lesson 2, we're gonna be going over some different stuff. I'm probably gonna get more into the controls and the key commands. you know, because there's no point in getting into mixing and all this complicated stuff when you can't even route one thing to the next and all that, and you don't know what I'm talking about when I say look at the counter, which here's the counter, by the way, you know, stuff like that. So thanks for hanging in there, and I'll definitely let you know when the next one's coming out. So take care.